Hello, Andrew here. You're watching part 4 of a 6-part podcast. To watch from the beginning, click the playlist link on screen or in the description.
I guess we're back. But I had a question. Is there anything to read in the song itself? I don't know. I guess it must seem pretty silly to me. Any attempts to what does pian pian mean?
It might be a typo of pain. If it's P-I-A-N, it might be just...
Wait a minute. What is the name of the song? I thought it was Pain, Pain, Pain. Is it not?
It might be a typo. Let me check the page source.
I thought it was pian, like piano, but without the O.
I kind of thought that as well.
Kris plays the piano at the hospital because no one bothers them, and it lets them channel their feelings instead of talking to people.
Right.
The characters around town often...
It fits Chris's character for
Kris
sure.
Doesn't usually talk to them.
But even if it's pian pian, the pain connection is still there, I think.
I think maybe I totally just what's the term for it? I wanted to see it, so I did. I totally thought it was pain pain, but if it's just pian pian, that's much less suggestive suddenly.
I'm trying to see if pian pian means anything.
I looked it up, and I remember it being there's a disease native to Southeast Asia called pian, and that might be
Probably
it.
Probably
weird direction for Deltarune to take, but okay.
It suddenly turns into a malaria PSA. You're what, Toby, what are you doing?
I think my big gripe with this is proof, because Two Left Thumbs, they put a lot of work in their video, but their assertion was that Kris never learned to play the piano because they're terrible at playing the piano, and therefore when they're playing the piano here, they're being possessed by whatever entity, quote-unquote, possesses them at the end of the chapter. So basically
that's a complete misreading of the game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so basically I think they're not even playing badly, it's just they're playing in such a way where it's very chaotic and it's not structured, but I don't necessarily think that means they're not skilled. It's the kind of vibe they're trying to go for.
Well, assuming that's literally what Kris was playing, it might not even literally be it.
But probably it's not, but
that's, I could picture someone playing like that if you're spaced out. I think someone on my Discord said that's how they play the piano when they're trying to stay awake or something. It's I could see if you're zonked out and really just not focused, then you could be playing something really spacey like that.
And it's on the topic of go ahead.
It sounds good though. I like especially the second part.
Two Left Thumbs seems to be my new job lately.
I was actually sorry.
What is it? I forgot. I don't know, but the wrestling term. Call outs to Two Thumbs. You have a new rival. Anyway.
Yeah, drama, beef.
Yes.
You stir up that Deltarune drama.
No beef here. I just disagree with some of their video. They did a good job cataloging it all.
Absolutely. One of the other things that they bring up in the video that I kind of disagree with, they interpreted they were interpreting one of the Spamton Q&A questions, the one about Des, to be proof that Spamton met Des and knew Des and interacted with her, and that both of the sisters had interacted with Spamton. And I don't think that's what is meant there. I think it's that Noel was searching for Des and was using every resource available, including Spamton's shady websites. I don't think,
absolutely.
I don't think that's ever met
Deep
Spamton.
sigh, I don't want to lol.
Yeah, that's totally social engineering, right? A spam email picking up on something you search a lot and putting it as
tracking cookies.
Classic. Yeah. That's really fucking dark, by the way, just baiting Noelle into reading spam mails by putting her missing sister in there.
Yeah,
because there was one of her blog posts, she specifically mentions that she has, oh my god, I can't speak, that she has a habit of reading spam mails, which probably started with that, just out of paranoia that somehow she'd hear something about Des.
She reads every email she gets, no matter how spammy it looks.
Yeah,
it does kind of go to prove how messed up Spamton really is, because not only is he obviously willing to kind of throw in Des in there to get Noelle to click, but also Spamton knows that Noelle was the first to ever actually click on his spam mail, and yet he's willing to kind of facilitate the whole Snowgrave route as well, just giving the Thorn Ring literally the whole thing. It's just
I mean,
He's really messed up.
There's lots of...
He's desperate, right? But regarding Noel, I'd do that too if my sibling was missing.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
In Spamton's defense, half of it is that's just what he is. He's a literal spam bot. So, he's kind of a sketchy character just by his nature rather than any sentient choice. And then the other half is that, by the time we meet him, he's already had a downfall. So he's not even...
Yeah, I
he's
think
not really
Spamton
mentally...
He's completely detached from even the concept of morality by the time you find him. He does not know what it means anymore.
Like, we meet him at his lowest.
Imagine being born a spam bot and then also getting corrupting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's like you start off like bottom of the barrel and then you get dragged through the bottom of the barrel. So, unlucky.
So the thing with the Thorn Ring is it's entirely possible that he thought he was helping Noel by making her stronger. Like, if you look at him like having a fondness for her because she read his emails and he gave her the weird code that made the Papyrus as the quote-unquote world's first charity, then Thorn Ring might have been another case of him wanting to help Noel become more powerful.
Yeah, because he thought the Papyrus was a gift, and of course it corrupted her game and erased her save file, so Spamton's just not very good at giving gifts, it seems.
Yeah, it's kind of like, sometimes like it's like, because you see that kind of storyline a lot in some shows where it's like there's like a certain monster race who are like, they're just kind of shady and crappy by their nature, but there's still like an episode where it's like one of them tries to be good, but they're just not good at being good. So it's like, it's kind of like that.
That is the thing Queen does too, right? Try to give gifts that you didn't want, but they're trying to be nice.
Yeah, and both of them are trying to make Noel stronger. It's just that they both don't care what Noel wants, which is the problem.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's interesting. And it is interesting because Spamton wants to replace the Queen, as we hear him mention once or twice in the sweepstakes. So it's interesting. So, okay, yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought the Kris was possessed back in the day theory is a little...
it doesn't really make
I think the best evidence for that is still the line about Toriel says Kris does this sometimes when they're in the bathroom with the soul, but that's pretty... That's just difficult to interpret in a lot of ways.
There's also the pop-ups again.
That's true.
Which one?
The I know there's one that involves
Kris clicked on an ad for demoning summoning.
Yeah.
I think that's... I'm determined that... I'm pretty determined that that's either a Shin Megami Tensei reference, a reference to Kris and Caddy being just creepy Molgoths together, or both. I think probably both.
Probably.
I'm resistant to the idea that is plot relevant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not really... I have no good reason for it, so I shouldn't really dismiss the Kris is possessed by Kara theories. But a lot of people use that as fodder for Kris accidentally summoned Kara and is now possessed by Kara theory.
But both doing occult stuff is evidence for demons, not against.
No, I know. Like, it's just I hate it, that's all.
when possessed by Kara, as in Kara is the red soul, is that what you mean?
I think people don't know what they mean when they say that.
Yeah.
They're not thinking that much about it.
A lot of people try to tie Deltarune to Soulless Pacifist and Undertale, but my problem with that is Toby said, don't worry, if you got a good ending in Undertale, that ending is still there. I feel like making the arguably worst ending of Undertale mandatory for Deltarune kind of undermines a lot of what the TPE stands for within Undertale, so I don't think he would
I'm
go
the
that
demon
route.
that comes when you call its name. Let us destroy this world and move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's the line everyone references. The thing is, in that context, Kara is fulfilling a very specific thematic role in the story. Kara is essentially just embodying the theme of the game at the point where that monologue comes in. And to take that and then copy-paste it into Deltarune as a plot point, a really major plot point, is like, what are we still doing here? Like, this is detached from its context now. We have Kara, this commentary on your motivations as a player, the concept of metagaming and detachment from the game, and now you've copy-pasted that into the start of the story without any of the supporting context of the genocide route. It makes no sense to me. I don't see where Toby would be going with that.
I'd argue this idea of the demon isn't Chara so much as the mentality of the player who does that sort of run.
Yeah,
sure.
Kara even says...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And don't get me wrong, I think that the mythos and the lore in Undertale Surrender and Demons is basically untapped. So I would not be surprised if Toby uses Deltarune to expand on demon lore the same way he's going to expand on Gaster lore. But I don't think it's going to literally be Undertale Kara hopscotched over and is possessing Deltarune Kris. I just don't think I
personally. I'm skeptical of the fact that.
Oh, go ahead.
Halfbread was trying to say something there. I'm skeptical. Okay, there we go. I'm skeptical of the idea that demon lore is going to be elaborated on at all. It really seems like Toby's just using the word for its sort of vernacular connotation.
Like a demon.
Gaster uses demon stuff already.
Well, he uses the number 666, which is only vaguely related to the concept of demonology through IRL Christianity, which seems like a really weird avenue to pursue.
Yeah, but then again, there's a lot of stuff in Undertale and Deltarune that seem to tie into Christianity with Christmas and Monster Kid in Deltarune literally wears a cross around their neck. So
noted, I will make a video on this.
Wait, what? Monster Kid cross?
Yeah, there's like a cross necklace kind of.
It looks like a little gold.
I cannot make myself believe that there's going to be any legitimate use of Christian themes, though. Like, that's just like a pretty generic piece of bling.
But then again,
Lightbringer.
I mean, there's a whole church in town. In the live stream, Toby literally said,
"The church is obviously
totally
like."
Sorry, I was just going to say that.
I think that the religious stuff it's coming because Toby was raised as a Christian. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. I think that stuff's bleeding in just because it's part of his understanding of what like suburban life is and.
Do you not know where the word Azrael comes from?
Yes, it's the Hebrew god of death or angel of death, Azrael. There can be religious references, but I don't think there's like. We're going to be that the Christian theology is going to be a necessary component of analyzing the game going forward.
Maybe not. But it's just like back to demons, though. It's just that the idea that there are demons as actual entities isn't completely unfounded because, like, in the Deltarune,
demons as a race separate from.
Or separate from monsters.
The angel is a huge concept in this game.
Oh. Yeah, right, that seems like
in both games.
Way to.
Yeah, but it's defined in universe.
Excuse me. I just wanted to draw attention. I think what Halfbread was referencing is the unused demon strings in Undertale. Greetings. You have made yourself completely clear. Understood. I, your humble servant, will follow you to the utmost. And that text is really interesting.
Because that's never explained in Undertale.
So
is that an unused line?
There's a set of text
in the files.
And
they're labeled
suggested
demon,
that might be Kara.
So.
Yeah, Demon A, B, C, and D. Something else, though, is I've seen it theorized that the whole occult demon summoning thing, it could simply be that Kris summoned us to kind of take over their life because they had such low self-worth initially, and so, like, they're using us as kind of a crutch, and that's why they keep putting the soul back in. Like, they'll remove it to do things without our input or awareness, but they always put it back inside themselves. So it could be
but that seems to imply that that seems to like fall apart with considering Snowgrave, because that seems to imply that the whole time that we control them is, or in a way, consensual. Is that I want to keep doing this, or no, or do we have?
I don't think Dork's saying that it has to be like a shared control or consensual. I think she just means.
We are the demon in this metaphor, then. I could get behind that.
But no, I don't know. It kind of sounded like, sure, maybe at the start. I want someone else to run my life for me, but now they wouldn't be able to stop. Otherwise, I guess.
I think I'm actually kind of on board with that.
I'm thinking it's like a monkey's paw thing. Like, they wanted, because they had such low self-worth initially, they wanted someone to take over and live their life for them, but it comes with some problems. Like, my interpretation of them still opening up the fountain in Snowgrave is like, they make the same action, but their motive for it is more of a cry for help after everything that happened, having Susie and Toriel right there, so that if we try to do that again, there will be witnesses.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't exactly know how to interpret the Snowgrave, but I've been thinking about it kind of in the terms of Kris perhaps like volunteering to be a protagonist, I guess, is a way to put it, in order to escape whatever difficulties in their own life. I'm not sure exactly how this would play out, but I can picture some scenario involving making a deal with the quote-unquote devil, such as some
Gaster.
entity capable of Gaster.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Well,
Of having their agency taken away in exchange for confidence, like the ability to live the life that I guess they want. Some
Could be.
angle there. I think something like that.
but I don't know. Like,
We give
Yeah, Brad?
I don't know what the DTS is doing. But I don't know. It seems like, well, if maybe sure. At the start, but take over my life. So from the other dimension, but I guess I don't know. It wouldn't make sense to me that it's still like voluntary in that sense that they could take it out at any time and remove it.
I think
maybe initially they could. It was a choice, but now they can't go back.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like that. I think it would have to be a bargain along the lines of like, replace your soul with this new one, and it'll be pretty difficult to get rid of it after.
I don't think you can live for long without a soul.
It seems to be what's implied.
They move really sluggishly. I think it's kind of like they have to put it back, true, but I think it could also be in the more positive routes, their relationship with us might be more complicated, because I think with Deltarune, the whole choices don't matter. Some people think that's literal and is going to be the point of the game. I think it's going to be the kill or be killed of Deltarune.
And I guess interesting is like who is you? Is you the player? You you Kris, or in general?
I'm definitely
leaning into more you as the player.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, I mean, I think I'm definitely in the your choices don't matter. Like I'm definitely in the camp of it's the main theme of the game. That's my. I think that's the point. Is the idea of Undertale was the game where you had complete control over the fate of the whole world, and Deltarune's the game where you just sort of have to come to terms with the fact that you have no control. Like that's my interpretation.
You think Toby is making a game about our choices not mattering?
It feels like Toby is like too much of an optimist and too much like
maybe.
I don't know.
The thing is, the choices.
I would be surprised if Toby's goal was to take our hope.
No, I think
Toby
that's
seems like too much about
determination.
No,
well, the thing is, we are shown that our choices do have some impact on the game. Maybe not in the overarching story, but our choices matter in terms of recruitment and growth of Castletown. It matters with the Thrash Machine. It matters in terms of if Birdley's arm breaks or if he's alive. So I think Toby, what he's trying to comment on is like this idea that the only way after playing Undertale that you can get a fulfilling story is if you have multiple endings and multiple big dramatic differences. I think what he wants us to do is just your choices and what you do with this world still matters, even if the road converges at the end, and you should still enjoy the little moments as you go along.
I'd argue all our choices matters. Even the little ones. We can lose the chance to talk to Onion San just from a single choice you make in chapter 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, of course, saying your choices don't matter implies that Birdley's life doesn't matter. That's a pretty big choice.
Well, I mean,
I think that
here's the thing. My interpretation of the
Rip Birdley.
My interpretation of the story is that it's going to basically be the ending can't be changed, and the main players in the story are all going to be different commentaries on whether or not that means your choices mattered or not. And, different characters will have different stances, and some people would have the perspective of, no, look at all this stuff we did. We recruited all these people. That means our choices did matter. And like literal characters in the game will be saying that, like Ralsei, while other characters more like Jevil or Spamton or whoever will be saying things like, no, this was all trash. This was all meaningless if you can't actually change the outcome. So I think...
I mean, this is some Chapter 7 stuff, man. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, it's too far out. Any like speculation of what the...
How can you choose when you are already playing?
I guess like I guess the I guess in context of the what is it the final Noel blog post. I guess that's a weird connection, but like there's this connection with Noel that like she somehow is able to even like weirdly she was able to like break the game, and maybe that's and I guess the weird route is that it's your kind of. I see some people like comment that the weird route feels like you're breaking the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess this could be like a thing of like the game has only one ending, but like but like to get something else you make the act of like breaking the game literal. And I guess this idea of like the maze where you need a specific NPC to find a way out. I guess I kind of understood that NPC as Noel. And you're using Noel to break.
That's another thing about the weird route and the secret door.
Yeah.
Noel walks up after Snowgrave, and you, the player, go up too. To the literal weird route.
That area isn't accessible normally. I think you're really onto something there, though, Outsin. I keep like coming back and circling around that topic, but it's what you're sort of describing there. I guess would be the game. Your choices don't matter, and there's only one ending. That is stated pretty firmly, but the game can be doing the thing where it sets up a layer of fiction, and then it sets up another layer that is supposed to be outside of that, which is supposed to feel more like it's infringing on reality. And that could be like by breaking the game, by going outside of what you were supposed to ever be able to do, you can achieve a new ending. Your choices do matter. You can kill Birdly, for example.
Yeah.
It's stating it the same way Flowey is stating in this world. It's kill or be killed.
I kind of had like a similar. Sorry, I had kind of like a similar take to like Jaru and Dorked, where like the game only does have one ending, but like what you do a lot, like there'll be one final ending scene, right, that like you can't change, where it's like a Kris talking to Susie, let's say, for example, or something, where like that ending scene will always be the same, but obviously the circumstances in which the world is left besides that, like if Birdly's dead or if this happens, can be still different, which I just kind of thought of this because the Deltarune, I think that it's a Steam page, it says one ending with kind of a question mark, like unsure.
He's so coy, so very coy.
Yeah, I mean, what I would argue...
We hear that line, our choices don't matter, it from villains. Our sources so far are Susie and Chaos King, while they're antagonizing us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, sure. But I would argue that the main story, the stuff that you do with the heroes and the Delta Warriors and the Angels Heaven and the Titans, I would say like that has a whole spectrum of different little details you can change, and then it ends at the ending regardless. But then the weird route is basically where all the Gaster stuff is, and where it's like, Gaster wants to find his own ending. He wants to break free and have meaningful choices too. He's just doing it by breaking the game. And that'll be the only route where you actually do change the ending, but you'll change it for the worst because Gaster's probably an asshole.
Right.
So, it's
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
The egg cannot be reached on the weird route.
The egg cannot be reached on the
you're
weird
assuming that the egg has anything to do with Gaster. Like, I don't think it does.
That's a whole rabbit hole.
I
think regardless of Gaster's involvement, I think that, yes, the weird route, I think, maybe is the subversion to that. Because the first thing that I thought of when I played Deltarune Chapter 1, the very first thing I noticed was, I can't kill these guys. I am not able to kill them even if I want to. And that it felt incredibly toothless compared to Undertale, where it felt like every NPC's life was in your hands at every moment. And that was so alienating to me. I was actually really upset. I was like, what are you doing, Toby? Why have you regressed in this way? And suddenly, the big thing that you can do in the weird route by breaking the game, by going way off script, is you get a spell that can actually kill. It is a very tangible choice that matters. And it's like...
Hilariously, the graphics and data to kill enemies was still in the game data in Chapter 1.
I think I know what
just
Brett was trying to say is the script and animation were in the original 2018 demo.
Yeah, that's fine. But like if they were unusable, it's like the same point. It doesn't really matter to me anyway. Like it would have been planned all along, of course, that you'd be able to kill, but just not accessible yet.
But I get what you're saying, and...
Sorry, I guess what I mean is, Toby didn't retcon it.
I'm not saying he did, but I'm saying, like, this is what he would have planned, is like...
It was the goal all along.
Yeah, you slap the player in the face with, like, you can't do this thing that you were used to be able to do in Undertale, but then, actually you can, you just gotta go way out of your way.
I think, though, with Gaster... He looks forward to creating a new future with you, and in Chapter 1, when you lose, he's like trying to urge you to keep going. I don't think Gaster is necessarily intentionally malevolent in the context of Deltarune, considering if the eggs are tied to Gaster, which is entirely possible since they're a funky Easter egg, you can only get them when you're on at least a neutral route.
Yeah, and it's, what is it? A man smiling behind the tree. I guess he is the... I mean, what is the Gaster? He is the mystery man. I guess no, maybe I'm confusing with, like, fanon interpretation.
Well, mystery man...
You get it the same way. You go back and forth in the room.
Yeah.
It's very hard to, like, quantify for me what about the Eggman is similar to Gaster. Initially, I was very resistant that they were the same. I was like, there's no real link, is there? But just over time, it's, like, seeped into me, like...
Yeah, and there's another Gaster.
I don't think it's literally the same person.
Not the same, but like associated.
I do think they are related.
But because there is like another like more obvious Gaster in the game in the form of the Javo and Spamton partner.
The person who's quote unquote helping them. Another thing too, though, is Lancer mentions the eggs. If you have an optional dialogue with him in the bakery, there's something about you are going to get at least one in your teenage years. And it kind of is trying to foreshadow, hey, you should be collecting these eggs, which I find really interesting.
There's a lot of foreshadowing about the eggs. I think it's pretty clear you're supposed to collect them.
Oh, it's if you race him. He says, you won't make it through your teen years without at least one egg.
If you race him?
Is it like the line about being a fresh and fragrant egg? That's a really weird way of putting it,
You won't
Lancer.
make it through your teen years without... So that makes me wonder if perhaps... so there's one main ending. I wonder if Toby actually is planning to jape us by having, like, if you get all the collectibles, you might be able to get, like, an unlockable chapter or something.
If you get all 7 chaos eggs.
I need to hurry up and make my egg video long.
Yeah,
and I guess the other thing about the egg is, it's introduced in one of the Noel blogs, and it's literally like a glitched item, which you can't... Well, in the game, Pet Catters, you can't drop it. And that's true for it. And the interesting property is that it can leave the Dark Road. It's the only item that can leave the Dark Road. And I don't know, we're gonna take that literally. The Dark Road is a game, it's a little game, and a game that you can break. And for some reason, Noel is the one that's able to glitch hunting, break games. And one of the glitches that you can literally blink out into the real world is the egg. Is that too much? Is that going too far?
No, it lines up. It lines up.
Shadow Crystal leaves the dark world.
Oh yeah.
Also,
but this is the only one that doesn't change when you do.
Also, the eggs multiply. If you put an egg in Asgore's fridge, there will be 2 eggs. And if you put the egg in the basket in the grocery store, some funky stuff goes on with the eggs as well.
Yeah,
I should stop talking about egg. I'm gonna ruin my own content.
Okay. One more thing.
The blog, the only way the egg leaves is if they've become happy somehow. And I guess, I don't know.
There's something interesting about that, actually. Some people have noticed that recent official artwork keeps putting Papyrus behind trees. And there's an egg on the Papyrus dating HUD, so some people are thinking the egg leaving home due to happiness is a metaphor for how Papyrus currently is a shut-in, but maybe something you can do in the game is getting him to leave home and be happy.
Oh my god.
I will talk talk about it. Don't you worry.
Okay,
it's not a huge rabbit hole stuff going on of like art of Papyrus.
The Papyrus lore. I've got something about my brain tends to turn off when you're bringing in like merch lore. I'm sorry.
But
it's just how I am.
Blue Circle.
The Picus was the thing that multiplied in cat petters, but the egg is the thing that multiplies in Asgore's pickle jar. Why is that a valid English sentence? Sorry.
Yeah, but I don't even know like what part of the like sweepstakes led us here, to be honest. I know like
I have this moment too.
I think we somehow got here from Kris and the piano thing with like
we did.
We've been going on wide arcs. We've been talking about the whole game basically.
So I'm trying to think what other merch stuff and the Q&A. Something that might be worth talking about real quick is the Blink page. People have connected Susie in that pose with the couches, and so that suggests that's just going to be like the opening scene of the chapter rather than a fake out like with chapter 2. Just they wake up.
I'm actually all in on that idea. That just makes too much sense to me.
The green room is the starting. The green room is the starting point,
and then she like wakes up on the couch because she was sleeping.
Yeah, it definitely gave off vibes of, like, she's waking up, like, from chapter, like, this is the beginning of chapter 3 vibes, to me, at least, like.
Yeah, probably. It's interesting because the green room has, like, 3 doors, and, I guess, I don't know, like, well, what led me to, this led me to think, what if, like, chapter 3 is, like, not like a, let's say, not like let's say a really long corridor, but more of a hub. That'd be interesting. But
I could see that. What was interesting too is that Kris left the door to the house open, which is probably just an open invite for the police to come inside and to make it look like someone had broken into the house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but related to that idea before of Noel being the glitch hunter and the one that's able to break the game, I don't think there will be a. There's a popular theory of Tori will kill Undyne, and that's the weird route for chapter 3. But I don't think there will be weird routes. Based off this, I don't think there will be weird routes in chapters where there is no Noel. And I don't see why Noel would go into the open door in the Dreamer house.
Yeah, that's a very... Because if the whole concept of breaking the game is actually a Noel thing, which seems a little bit more plausible in the wake of the sweepstakes, then that would imply that the weird routes are like not Noel specific just because you have to manipulate her into killing someone. They're Noel specific because of her very presence in the narrative.
I think that's entirely possible. I think another possibility is a lot of people are stuck on this idea that every chapter you will do something similar to chapter 2's weird route where you're just killing. I think Toby would be more clever than that, and basically my guess is that the weird routes are going to be elaborate sequence breaks similar to what you did in chapter 2, but each one you have a certain thing you have to do to kind of get off the rails. Like in chapter 2's weird route, because Susie wasn't in the party, I think is the whole reason that was able to happen, because if you had tried doing this thing with Noel while Susie was around, I think she would have seen it and been like, hey, yo, what the heck are you doing?
What's happening?
Susie's very much, she does what she wants.
Yeah, she overrules you when necessary.
Speaking of, like, weird routes not being all done the same way, like, I made a video with Tiger Shark where we were basically, like, thinking of, like, what Toriel's, like, skills would be, and I kind of brought up the idea that, like, maybe the weird route is done not, like, sequence breaking as in just, like, killing everybody, but literally, like, if she, like, you know, fires smoke, like, some kind of, like, ability to run away from fights, then you could just, like, have a weird route by sequence breaking by just, like, literally running away from every single enemy and getting out of every single, like, major, like, situation.
That means I want to see the other weird routes going, I don't know, killing everything. That's 2015. That's too last years.
Very.
Want to see like weird routes.
Weird shit.
Hear me out.
Exactly.
Fucking weird.
Chapter 3 weird route. You use Toriel's fire magic to set the house on fire, so even when you close the dark fountain, the Dreamer house is ablaze, so Kris has to stay at Noel's place. Thereby, you're getting closer to Noel and can continue to use her.
Yeah, that's...
Lol, the perfect crime.
This would be... the whole house burning down is definitely one of the more extreme theories, but I haven't looked into it that much. It is It is an interesting one, though.
It's possible. My main concern with that would just be the development time needed to fork the story in such a major way.
Yeah, it really depends, too, because, like, you could argue the Birdly thing and Noel resolving to get to the bottom of things are also a dramatic story fork.
It is.
But those might only apply to chapters that involve Noel and any scenes that would have involved Birdly rather than the entire narrative.
Yeah, they could do the Mass Effect thing where Birdly is just never going to be brought up.
There's something I've been dying to hear someone mention since the sweepstakes ended, and no one has mentioned it yet.
Go ahead.
When you go to the page with Tenna, and then you go to the page with the static, and then you scroll all the way down and click the secret hyperlink.
Yeah.
The hyperlink blocked, if you will.
I suppose.
The background there.
Oh.
It's using the ocean sound again.
Oh, the blue area. Or
yeah, I noticed
static.
that was an actual thing from...
What the heck is up with the ocean?
Oh yeah,
while we're
gonna
on the
get
topic
into...
of the ocean, what about the chair page?
Why does Toby keep doing this?
The page with the chair with the coat hanging off
Yes.
of it. That talks about
we haven't talked about the chair this whole time.
There's a lot here.
Chair has evaded us, but the only thing that I heard about it was that it apparently appears in Rudy's room. I'm not sure, I gotta fact check this, but apparently it appears in Rudy's room and like the town hall somewhere are the places that I heard.
Oh, I think that maybe
the ocean law.
One of the most boring lines of narration in the game is like, it's a chair. I think that was in the hospital, so maybe it's the same one.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this chair is there is a coat hanging off of it, and some people have speculated it's Gaster's lab coat.
That's
also
a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
But when you click it, it makes water sounds.
Actually.
It makes ocean sounds.
It's the sound that plays in Undertale when you're approaching waterfall.
What if it's Azzy's jacket?
It could be Azzy's jacket. It could be literally any jacket of any character in the game, in fact.
But also, when you click on it, the chair itself disappears, and all that's left are like glitchy squares in a vague silhouette of a pulsating chair.
It turns to blackness. And we should mention the tab name, too, is when the chair is uncorrupted, it says, but what if it could? And then once you corrupt the chair, it says, get darker than dark. So heavy-handed Gaster allusions to the chair.
I think also it's implying, like, what happens if you open a dark fountain in a dark world, and Birdly almost did that, but Ralzo was like, yo, dude, no, you can't do that. I wonder if it's going to happen later.
I think it's almost inevitable that we're going to see what happens eventually when you get a dark world within a dark world.
I think my mic's been muted for a while. That's unfortunate.
Oh, shoot.
That does make a lot of sense. I like the idea of getting that. Well, it's literally getting deeper and deeper into by dark worlds within dark worlds, and You can actually get the darker yet darker from to that. That would be the analogy then.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting though is like I hadn't really considered it until.
Is not one gonna mention the eyes?
Yes.
Well,
real quick, Jaru was gonna say something.
Yeah. It's just interesting because we'd always kind of, or maybe not all of us, but I'd always assumed that the reason Ralsei didn't want any more dark fountains made was because there's like a threshold of, if you have 3 or more dark fountains or something, that'll cause the roaring. But it might literally just be if you make a dark fountain inside a dark world, that's what causes the roaring.
I still think there's like a limit or like an overall limit.
Maybe it's either or. Yeah. It definitely seems like nesting them would cause problems, though.
The real question,
I don't know. Rousey seems to be more of the type of person to lie by omission and like, I don't want to talk about this. Let's go to another topic.
Talking about this has made me realize that like a lot of people seem to think that like 3 or like around 3 is like the limit for how many dark fountains can exist before causing the roaring, and it'd be interesting if the darker yet darker, obviously like 3 layers of dark, if that could like parallel to 3 like dark fountains that could like cause the
That's
roaring.
A deep cut. That's like Beetlejuice or something.
And it's interesting because like something's interesting. I forgot what it was. Never mind.